As you begin to notice how the mind has held on to old patterns, you might also start to recognise that they were never really yours to begin with. Because isn't it fascinating how beliefs, they're just stories we've told ourselves again and again, until they felt real. But now's the time to rewrite the script. You see, for so long, the mind played its little game, measuring, comparing, stacking itself against others. As if life were a race with a finish line that doesn't even exist. What if there was no race? What if there was no higher, no lower, no better, no worse? Only different paths, different experiences, different lessons, all unfolding in their own time. And the more you let that realization settle deep into your unconscious, the more you can begin to notice something shifting. The old need to prove, to defend, to posture, begins to dissolve, just like mist in the morning sun. And as it fades, something else takes its place, freedom. The freedom to just be, to stand in your own space without shrinking, without puffing up, just existing effortlessly, powerfully as you are. Because isn't it true? The only real competition is between who you were yesterday and who you're becoming now. And as you continue to expand into this new way of being, you'll find the more you let go, the further you can go. The more you release the need to compare, the more space you create for your own growth. And you know this, don't you? Somewhere deep inside. There's always been a part of you that's already understood this. The part of you that sees the world through the eyes of a child, curious, playful, open. And that part of you has been waiting for this moment, waiting for you to step back into it, to remember what it feels like to be light, to be free, to be fully present. Because when you stop judging yourself, you stop judging others. When you stop judging others, you start truly connecting. And isn't that what you've been waiting for all along? To connect, to feel, to truly experience life without the weight of unnecessary expectations. So as you breathe in now, deeply, you can begin to feel the weight of the old beliefs loosening their grip. And as you exhale, you can let them go. Because what happens when you let go? What happens when you finally give yourself permission to be exactly as you are? Maybe, just maybe, you become more powerful than ever before. Maybe you become the kind of person who walks into a room and shifts the energy. Not because you're trying to, but because you're simply being. And as you step forward into this new reality, a reality where there's no need to prove, no need to compare, no need to chase, you find yourself exactly where you're meant to be. Right here, right now, whole, complete and ready. Ready to live. Because isn't it time? And isn't it interesting how the mind, without even realizing it, creates stories? Stories that seem so real, so convincing. That they shape the way that we move, the way we think, the way we feel. The most fascinating thing about a story is it can be rewritten. Because if you could step back just for a moment and notice the patterns, the old beliefs, the once felt so unshakable, you might begin to wonder, were they ever really mine? Were they simply echoes of someone else's words, absorbed, adopted, and mistaken for truth? And what happens when you start to question those old rules? Rules that told you to be tougher, to grow up faster, to shut down, to hold back, to never show weakness. What happens when you see them for what they really are? Just ideas, just thoughts. Thoughts that can be let go, just as easily as they're taken in. Because isn't it true that the more you try to suppress something, the stronger it fights back? Like trying to hold a beach ball underwater. The harder you push, the more forcefully it bursts to the surface. And yet the moment you release your grip, the ball simply floats, effortlessly, naturally. Isn't that a metaphor for emotions, for thoughts, for everything you once tried so hard to control? But here's the thing, you don't have to fight anymore. You don't have to prove anything to anyone, because real strength, kind of strength that changes lives. It isn't about pretending. It's about presence. About knowing you can stand here exactly as you are, without needing to be more, without needing to be less. Because haven't you noticed? The people who command the most respect, the ones who truly influence and inspire, they aren't the loudest, the toughest, most aggressive, no. They're the ones who are certain in themselves, certain in their own reality, certain in their ability to just be. And as you begin to integrate this truth deeper and deeper, you might find yourself remembering something, a time before the fear, before the pressure, before the need to prove, a time when curiosity was your guide, when every moment was an adventure, where you didn't have to think faster or try harder, because everything just flowed. And isn't it interesting? The more you let go, the further you can go. The more you stop trying to force your way forward, the more life seems to open up effortlessly before you. Because here's the real secret. The more you slow down, the more you speed up. The more you listen, the more you understand. The more you let yourself feel, the more powerful you become. And as you begin to breathe now, deeply, effortlessly, you might start to realize that something's shifting, old patterns dissolving, new possibilities emerging, a new way of being, more natural, more aligned, more powerful than anything you've known before. Because when you finally stop running, stop forcing, stop trying so hard, you discover something incredible. You're already enough. You always were. And now, you're ready to live that truth. And isn't that exciting?